You've just entered the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. If you've come for actual legal advice, you need to turn right around, honey. You need to get out of here, 'cause you ain't gonna get none of that. They quibble, and they squabble, and they bicker. But if you want to hear meaningless opinions, this is the right place. They got plenty of that. Stuff that makes no sense at all. They go off on tangents. It's crazy talk. If that's your thing, keep listening. They'll keep talking.
Oh no no, oh no no, it's another episode of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. You've entered the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Yay!
Welcome to another edition of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on this May 15th, 2021. We have a very different guest for you guys all today. He's going to be, I think, probably very interesting. He's a long career stuntman. He's been on over 50 different productions, including Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Scanner Cop and Munchies and numerous other things. You can track him down on IMDb. He's also got a band that he's put together recently called Juliana, and we'll talk about that later. But he'll also help us with our client later on, which is leading men are not real men. So that being the case, thank you very much, Mr. Stewart, for showing up here tonight, or tonight. It's like, what day is it? It's Saturday today, and why don't you let us know how you got into the stunt business? I mean, where do you come from? I think you have you're from Boston, I believe, originally, and
Yeah, I'm from Boston, and I got in Boston. Actually, I knew what I wanted to do since I was 10 years old. I was doing stuff like jumping off my grandmother's roof and jumping mini bikes and all that stuff. So around about 17, 18, they were doing a Matt Dillon picture there. And at the same time, my friend was opening a movie theater there. And I did a little thing for his promotion, and news came down and filmed it where I went upside down off the marquee, and lit myself on fire. Then I fell and crashed through the glass window of the thing anyway. So anyway, the news shot it, and one of the producers from the Matt Dillon picture was watching the news that night and got my name off of them. He called me up and said, "Hey, can you do a fire burn on the film we're doing here?" And I said, "Sure, no problem." And that's how it kind of started. I did a couple of films in Boston. Then
is this movie called Over the Edge by any chance?
Huh?
What was the movie called with Matt Dillon?
It's called The Burning of Coconut Grove and Other Great Disasters. It was the PBH production in Boston.
That must have been like one of his first movies back then. I mean,
no, he was famous. So it was after the when it made him famous for sure, because he was really famous. I remember all the kids going crazy on the set. So it was after the one. I forget the name of the one that made him famous. But there was after that picture for sure.
Wasn't it like not like My Bodyguard or something like that? Wasn't that the one that made him famous? Matt Dillon was.
I thought it was.
The Outsiders.
I thought it was The Outsiders that made him famous.
Oh, I thought he did this before The Outsiders, but that's all good. Outsiders definitely made a lot of guys famous. Made John Stewart famous, right? No, he wasn't.
It made me famous.
We're all famous. I want to welcome Madeleine. She's just shown up. She's the lead singer for Juliana. Right now we're going over John's career, and if you want to pipe in, you can, but the hardest part for you will be the fact that you're muted and no one will hear you. So, in case you were wondering. Anyway, so you started off recognizing that you had a desire to hurt yourself, John, on like a regular basis because you were, I guess, doing this around, you said, your grandmother's house in Boston?
Yeah, I grew up at my grandmother's house, so I'd jump off her roof, and all that crazy stuff the kids do. And I got a mini bike. I got a paper out, made some money, got a mini bike, so I'd jump in that. So I knew early on exactly what I wanted to do. I was just trying to figure out how to actually get it done.
How do you get paid to hurt yourself, basically?
I never figured that out. I hurt myself a lot as a kid and never figured out how to turn it into money. It mostly
you got to do it on the news, Brendan.
I guess it just mostly cost a lot of like emergency room visits, but whatever.
So are you still doing stunt work now?
No, not really. I mean, I'm older now, obviously, and I've had a couple of broken backs, broken neck, broke my femur, kneecaps, all that. So
oh boy,
I'm kind of limited to what I could do now. I would do some stuff like driving and simple stuff, fight stuff, but big car jumps and the big high falls, you know, are probably done for me for sure.
If they needed someone to fall off a tricycle, you could still do that, maybe. Cardi Johnson.
Yeah, I can handle that. Well, are you paying? Do it.
I don't know if there's a lot of call for falling off of tricycles, Greg, especially for stunt coordinators. But maybe you could do like one big, long, extended tricycle fight. You know, you have about 40 people on tricycles, and then you coordinate that whole thing. And
like Mad Max.
Did they do that in Mad Max?
But safer.
Mad Max, but tricycles and big wheels and stuff.
Yeah.
Be like slightly annoyed Max.
You know, for kids.
Well, there's Paul Stater, who was a really famous stuntman. He doubled the original Tarzan and did an original Poseidon adventure. He was working well into his 70s. I remember when we were doing a talk show circuit, I ended up on some talk show with him, and he was about 70, and I wasn't even planned. And we ended up doing a fight scene on a talk show, and I became friends and hung out with him in his house in Malibu, and would walk down the beach and we'd get chased by sea lions and stuff. But he was doing stunts well into his 70s, man.
Oh, you did a whole movie about being chased by sea lions.
Yeah, on tricycles.
Yeah, add that to the tricycle movie. I think we're working on something here. Tricycles,
yes, we've
sea
got
lions.
A whole really horrible movie that we're creating right now.
And John might be the stunt coordinator for the whole thing.
Seeing the movies that are coming out now, I don't know if that's horrible. That might be the most genius movie ever made.
If you put the sea lions in capes, it'll all fit.
There you go.
There you go.
They'd be like superhero sea lions. Anyway, I had a question which just got thrown away because of our digression. Well, yeah, so you mentioned that you've broken your back twice and your feet. Have you broken more bones than Evel Knievel? Because he's had a lot of that happen to him, too.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, okay.
I think he's broken a lot more than me.
So after you break your back the first time, what makes you say, I want to do it again?
I would just, you know, it's part of the job. You get hurt, you keep going. And the funniest thing about that is I broke it. I forget the year I broke it, but I broke it on this film, and they airlifted me out to a hospital in Canyon Country. I forget the name of it, but a year later, I was doing another film, broke it again, airlifted me, same hospital. The doctor comes in, all yelling at me, "What the hell are you doing back here with another broken back? I just fixed you last year." So to get the same doctor is pretty funny, I think.
Same hospital, same. At least it was the same back. Yeah, you should get like a broken back discount. I think Greg's correct.
Like a punch card. You know,
actually
broken bones.
They gave me a T-shirt from Life Flight because they life flighted me so much. They gave me like
That's perfect.
Yeah, I think a punch card for the Lifeline would be the good one there, Brendan. You probably got pulled lots of times.
What was the stunt, John, you're most proud of? Like the craziest stunt you ever did and you pulled off?
Probably I did at the time they said it was a world record, and I had no intention of trying to set any world records. I don't believe in that stuff, but I did a 16-story high fall on fire for a movie called Full Steel with Sharon Stone. I was juggling Jonathan Banks, and Sharon Stone lights me with a grenade launcher, catches me on fire, and end up falling off the building. So that was one of my big ones in my career for sure. And back then, 16 stories was really high, and then to be on fire at the same time.
Even right now, that's a big deal.
Well, not now, like a green screen. Anybody, you could do it, you know, but twice size.
I don't even like falling out of my bed. So I don't see that happening.
16 stories.
But 16 stories, like the thing at the bottom's got to be so tiny. Would you be like afraid the wind would take you away from, or were you like weighed down so that wouldn't happen? How does that?
No, well, thing is, you know, I'm kind of a baby. I wanted to get the biggest airbag in the business, so I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah.
But even that looked
what
like
a baby.
Yeah.
He's a baby about safety.
That looked like a postage stamp from that height.
Yeah, I bet.
The problem was the bag's worth about $300,000, and it was brand new, and that was the biggest one they had in town at that time. And Peter Horrock, the guy that owned the bag, was worried I'm going to catch it on fire and destroy it. So what they did was they put black Duvetine and wet it and put it over the airbag.
What's Duvetine?
It's like a cloth. It's like
a
cloth material. So I'm thinking to myself, man, I better test this out. So I did a jump at 90 feet just to test it and see what it felt like. And it was really slapping me hard. And I knew if I went from 16 stories and out, I could get severely injured. So what I did was I told my guys, an airbag's powered by air, obviously, that comes out of these big fans. So I had my guys watch the side of the building. I said, the minute you see my feet leave the building, unplug the airbag. So the airbag starts deflating. You know, the air starts going in. So as I hit it, it would go down instead of popping me because of that Duvitine like it did. But even worse than that was, there was a guy in a cherry picker crane, one of my stunt guys, Bob Brown, with a fire extinguisher on his back. And as I hit the bag, he was going to jump in on top of me and put me out. So there's no way I could burn the bag. But so they had the cherry picker hanging half over the bag. So he
Oh God!
So you could have landed on the cherry picker.
Yeah, I could have basically slapped him 5 on the way down. That's how close we were.
Oh my!
So
I'm really glad they were worried about that damn bag. Like, all right, whatever the guy John, I don't know, but let's make sure that bag is taken care of, right?
Yeah, it was an expensive bag, but it all worked out.
It was an expensive bag. You're very diplomatic. I'd be like, are you kidding me?
Just hearing that story made me shit my pants. I can't believe you did that.
But you didn't break any bones on that fall.
No, that actually went perfectly. But the very next day, I had to go up to Toronto, and I had to jump a police car over a moving train. And when I came down, I went up so high. When I came down in that over the train, I broke the car in half, and that messed me up. Broke a couple of ribs and all that stuff. So I was shitting up blood there for a couple of days. But 60th story, no problem. Jumping a train the next day, that created some problems.
So what was the 16th story fall? Was that probably the most challenging stunt you had to do?
Not the most challenging for sure. That one I didn't really lose any sleep over.
Oh, okay.
The most challenging thing we were going to do, I was actually out at a bar on a Friday night with a date that I met for the first time. First time I met this girl. We went out. I got a call at 11 o'clock at night from a producer I'd worked for a bunch. He goes, "You got to get up to the Kern River." The producer almost died. Producer did die. He jumped in the water trying to save one of the actors, and he drowned. You got to get some stunt guys together and get up here. We can't have any more actors near these rapids. And they were, I didn't even seen a rapid at that point. So I said, okay. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I told my date, I got to go to Kern River. What are you doing for the rest of the weekend? Oh, she want to come? She said, sure. So she went up. So I had a bunch of my stunt guys meet us up there. It's like a 4-hour drive. We got there late at night. And then we slept at the hotel. And then we got to the set the next morning, which was class 5 rapids. And like the worst kind there is. So I just remember walking down the parking lot and going down there. We hear this big roar. And I'm like, oh, shit. So we get down there, and the guides that are supposed to be safety guides and boats are going, you guys are nuts. I wouldn't be in this water. I'm like, oh, shit, you ain't kidding. So about, I think 5 or 6 I had 6 stunt guys come up, and 3 of them looked at it and said, see you, John, we're not doing this. And they went back to LA. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm going to be short a couple of doubles. So the girl goes, I'll jump in with this. She didn't give a shit.
This is your date. You picked the right date.
Yeah. What a great first date.
She's not a stunt girl at all. She just, I guess, a good swimmer and liked challenges. So I dressed her in a freaking wig and put her in there. And 3 of the toughest stunt guys, bailed, went home, and she went in there and did it with us. So we did that thing 7 times a day. Well, the first time we did it, we tried to, fight it. We kind of figured out that you can't fight this stuff. It just beat the shit out of us. It was over a mile long. We had to go down these class 5 rapids. And we were hitting rocks and we're hitting stuff. So I said, you know what? I said, screw it. Let's just pad up and just go for the ride. Do not try and fight it. And so we put, back pads, elbow pads on. And the rocks under the water we were hitting were kind of slick. So you kind of slid them over anyway. So we ended up doing this thing 7 times a day, Saturday, Sunday. And they went back 2 more weekends after that because Universal got this giant log. Now they wanted us to ride the log down. So this thing was a giant fake log, but when it hit the rapids, it flipped over, it threw us over the thing. And I remember one time I got stuck under, like they call the washing machines under the rapids. You can't get up, and I just grabbed some stunt guy's leg to pull myself up. So that was definitely the most challenging thing.
Especially if you drowned that other stunt guy by grabbing his leg.
I like how it was. People were dying, and they're like, "I know. Let's get a giant log." Now that they've mastered that, let's up the ante.
Whose right idea was that? And then I had to stand on the back and try and steer this thing down these things. But of course, the front of it hits a rock in the water and flips over like this, and all us we were flying.
I also like how a stunt that 3 trained stuntmen turned down. They just let your date never been a stunt woman before. Be like, sure.
Did that
Give
like
it a
kick
try.
off her career? Did she become like a great stunt woman from that point on?
No. We dated for a while. Then she was in a fireman, so she ended up dating a fireman and got married and stuff.
Oh,
But hey, she had a good time, you know.
so she finally bailed.
Yeah.
So I would think that as stunt people, you don't really care so much about the quality of the acting going on in a movie so much as how many stunts you get to do. So for you, it doesn't really matter what kind of movie you work on as long as it's got a big enough budget to pay for a $300,000 airbag.
Yeah, our motto is screw the dialogue. Let's wreck something.
Say it again.
Our motto is screw the dialogue. Let's wreck something.
Right.
Let's break our backs.
Let's go take all of our
back then, I used
kneecaps.
to get scripts, and they would just there was no action in them at all. They were doing a lot of movies back then, you know, because when video just hit the scene and all that, and they would just give me a script and say, well, it needs action, write something in. So I would literally rewrite the script and write any crazy thing I wanted to do at the time into the movie. Half the time it didn't make any sense at all. You know, I did a car chase. I did a car chase with Adam Ant and Brad Davis, they could it made no sense in the movie, but they got diverted off the regular roadway into a speedway where there was an actual race going on, 20 cars, you know, a race, and they jump over the grandstands and they end up a thing going the opposite way of the race cars, you know, and that was totally insane. I remember they screened the movie and it had nothing to do with the movie, but I got
I'm like, wait a minute. This was a romantic comedy. What is going on? Why do we have this?
Sharon Stone and Brad Davis, the romantic comedy, man, and then. But that was the
this
same
on
thing.
Golden Pond?
Huh?
Was this on Golden Pond, this movie?
Right.
Yeah, it was. No.
Yeah.
You just wrote the scene in with the car.
Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn are doing car chases with each other.
So is that how you started to move into directing? Is that they were kind of asking you to like
exactly
create
what
on these
happened
scripts?
was, at that time, a lot of the directors didn't know squat about directing action, so I had kind of played around with it, and I knew where to put the cameras. I knew where if a car was going to jump a car, I knew exactly where it was going to land. I'd put a camera there in the crash box, an IMO camera. So yeah, they had me directing second units, and which sometimes most of the movie, you know what I mean?
Right.
In fact,
The second units are mainly the ones involving stunts.
yeah,
Like when we see that on the credits. That's generally what they do.
Right. Well, this script called Steel, Mario Puzo wrote. The Godfather. He's very famous. Yeah. But the one condition, and this is another story, the one condition that he would give the script to this company was that his daughter Dorothy direct, and she's never directed anything. And this thing was all action. So I ended up directing a lot of that movie with her, even some of the scenes that weren't quote unquote action, because that was our first barbecue, and it was a big barbecue to go to because there was just tons of stuff on that film.
When you say a barbecue, you mean lighting you guys on fire?
Yeah, basically. First job to be directing something that you wouldn't want that to be your first job. That kind of script that size with that much action and craziness going on all the time.
Right.
So for the car stunts and what have you, did you have to go to a special school to learn how to drive cars so that you could do that kind of thing, or did you just wing it and just crash a lot of cars until you figured it out?
Well, no, I was stealing cars when I was a kid at 10 years old, and taking it for joyride. We would go up to the cops and give them the finger until they chased us, basically. And that's how I learned to drive. I'm not kidding. True story. I had my first car at 15. I bought a Dodge Charger for $200. Armando, a neighbor of mine, bought some land in New Hampshire. We used to go up and all the kids he took from the neighborhood to help clear the trees, 20 acres. It was building his dream home. And we were at 10 years old at the time. So we'd go up there on the weekends, but they always let me drive his car once we cleared a few of the trees. We had a dirt road. So I'd be doing a Dukes of Hazzard crap on his land with his Cadillac. So I was driving at a very young age. And of course, a lot of the stuff we practiced in LA at the time, most of the rent-a-car companies banned us because we'd rent cars, go out on the weekends and do slides and stuff. And sometimes the tires break and we flip the car over, Actually, it happened a few times where the bead breaks and the car actually flips over and we bring it back saying, I don't know. I came out, it was messed up. I don't
know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
That's why you get that pricey insurance they give you. Like, I paid for the insurance. I don't know.
$7. So yeah. I was driving at a very, very young age.
Wow, that is amazing. I think at that age I was just riding a bike and throwing newspapers on people's roofs instead of their porches.
Yeah, that was my first job, a newspaper. I did it on my mini bike because I had such a big rope. That's how I made money to buy like mini bikes and crap like that.
Yeah, I was not a real person. I didn't ride powered vehicles after I crashed the first one I was on. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Whereas you're the one who just goes, I like the crashing part. Do it again.
Were you inspired by Hal Needham?
Oh yeah, for sure. He was a legend back in the day. The guy did everything, and he started a lot of stuff. As you know, he did a movie called Hooper, which
Is that a Burt Reynolds movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Movie about a stuntman. And because Hal was a stuntman, he lived with Burt, and that's how he ended up directing Hooper and Smoking the Bandit and all that. That guy, you talk about fearless, man. He was jumping out of freaking airplanes, tackling the guy off a horse. You know, he did that on some talk show that one of those variety shows that they had. You Asked For It, I think it was the name of it. Yeah, he was definitely a stuntman, a legend. He's like, if there's a picture of a stunt guy in a dictionary, it would be his picture. He looked like the Marlboro Man, tough, brave as hell, and I'm like him. He hated CGI. He wouldn't even go see a movie if it had CGI on it later. But back in those days when he started, they were basically using extras as stunt guys, and they'd give him a bump. But hey, we'll give you extra $50 for go fall off the horse, type of thing. You know what I mean? And he helped kind of organize it and get some people on SAG contracts. You know,
Right.
Back in the 50s, and he kind of made it. So he's definitely a legend. Invented a lot of stuff like the cannon where they put a cannon in the bottom of a car, and the car set off an explosive, and it blows a piece of a telephone pole out of the bottom and flips the car over. You know, he tested that out, just sitting there, hit the button, car went up, flew down, and broke his back and a bunch of ribs. You know.
Jeez.
Yeah. So the guy definitely had a set of balls on him for sure.
That he broke a few times.
A lot of stuntmen must be out of work, I imagine, because of CGI in the past 20 years. It must be a tough business now.
Yeah, it is. People break it in now for bad for them. They had it when I was doing it, but it was so horrible and expensive. No one used it. It was really bad. I did a movie with Robert Englund called 976 Evil, where they used a piece of it. Some of it, you know, where we had the house falling away and the hell was down there. It just looked absolutely horrible. Yeah, I mean, since then, I mean, you still need stunt guys to set up rigging for the CGI and the cables and stuff. But yeah, I did probably put a lot of stunt people out of work. I'm glad I never planned to direct. It just kind of happened. So it took my career when I started directing. After second use, I started directing. I got hurt really bad, and I directed a movie called Action U.S.A. It was the first movie that I wrote, produced, and directed. After that, I mostly was directing anyway. From that point on.
Did you start doing the Power Rangers after Action USA?
Yes.
Okay.
After Action USA, yeah.
Now, you were a stunt coordinator for Power Rangers prior to directing on that? Oh,
I just came in as one of the first unit directors when the show first started.
Got it. Okay. And so that didn't lead into like a directing career per se. I know you did like 14 episodes of that show, but at some point you kind of like faded out of the movie business for the most part?
No, I was directing. I had directed a couple of films even before Power Rangers, and then some after, I think. But I moved. I kind of, long story short, I had to take care of my two kids. I raised them myself, so I kind of took a leave of absence for a while, and then after that, I moved to Florida to kind of retire.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so that brings us to Juliana.
Exactly.
To your band, which is nobody in the band is named Juliana, and it's a Latin influence band, and no one in the band is Latin, and so Madeleine, who is on our screen but is being very polite by letting us talk about you the entire time, is probably going to discuss this a little bit in terms of how you guys got connected and what type of music you're doing, and which is, like I said, Latin influence. But Madeleine, you are muted though, in case you didn't know. If
Let
you
me
wanted
check
to start talking.
Could you hear us? Wave if you can hear us. Can you? You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Now she's unmuted.
I thought you muted me. I didn't know that it was of my own accord. I thought you were telling me that I was muted.
You can't speak.
Yeah.
We do not allow women to talk in this forum.
That was a great way to keep me quiet, John. You should write that down.
You do that in all the shows.
Because I did have a little quip. Usually when people call me a second time for a secondary burn, I turn it down.
What? So you also get involved in stunts too? You said you were in a secondary burn?
Huh?
No, John said that they called him for a second burn the next day, and he was up for it. And usually when I get that call, I say no.
Oh God.
But
right,
she's got jokes, folks.
Ba-dum-bum.
You're in the right place for that. Let's say that directly. So, how did you two get connected? I mean, because you're kind of a bit of an odd couple. You know, John, I'm thinking you're probably around our age, if not maybe got a couple of years on us. And
Yes.
Madeleine, thank God, is not around our age.
So no, I'm 27 and I've been
Oh,
a
that is
singer
my age.
for
Sorry.
Oh, okay, good. We're spot on then.
I'm just an old 27.
We're not so odd couple.
Right.
So I'm actually from Florida. I'm a local. And I've been singing and performing down here since I was a kid. We have a pretty big musical theater, regional theater production down here. So I've been doing
you're
that
the
for a
Miami area, right?
long time. We're actually in West Palm,
West
Okay.
Palm. Okay.
a little north of Miami.
I'm in Tampa, Clearwater, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Greg,
Yeah, we're
Greg and
close.
I are in Oregon, so we kind of span the country.
Mm.
Nice. I was supposed to go to Oregon last March for some wine country adventure and then got that shut down pretty quick.
Yeah, they shut down all the wineries, at least the drinking parts of the wineries.
Yeah. But
That's-
everyone kept drinking the whole year anyway, so.
Yes, they did. I
Yeah.
think they drank a lot
A
more than they were
lot.
planning. A lot more than
Um,
they were planning.
So basically I've been acting, singing, performing in South Florida since I was a kid. I studied it. We have some professional magnet schools down here. So I started getting professional training when I was 10 years old. I had to audition for middle school. And so I feel like I've been doing it in a professional way for a pretty long time. Of course, once you turn 18, they're like, oh, this is kind of a pipe dream. Don't you think you should go to college? So went to college for a few years. And then basically realized that I really just want to sing and be a performer. So moved back to South Florida and started auditioning. I was thinking I was going to do cruise ships. So I was auditioning a lot for Carnival and Royal Caribbean and was actually under the height requirement. So they kind of want more of the Rockette type and I'm 5'2". So I was
It's more
padding
of the
my
rock
heels.
type than the Rockette type.
I'm more rock than Rockette.
You
I'm
need to
wearing
drink.
like a 6-inch heel.
Or Rockatini, I guess.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
So it was.
Where
just
did
a
you
lot
go to
of
college? Did you go to college
I-
out of Florida or in Florida?
No, I went to U.S.
You went to UF? Okay.
It's at
Mhm.
Gainesville, right?
Yeah.
That's Gainesville.
Okay. I was there once,
And
many years ago.
I pretty much changed my path entirely once I got to college. I mean, I was doing a little bit of performing. I was doing like some Shakespeare stuff,
Mm.
but I was studying neuroscience and thought that I was going to go into marijuana industry actually.
Neuroscience and Shakespeare and marijuana all go together.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a good weekend, they do.
There's much ado about nothing.
Right.
But
Or as you like it.
yep, as you like it. I like that better.
I'll throw in a
But-
Shakespeare reference while we're at it.
I
So
really
you did-
figured out that
You didn't do the cruise thing and you ended up, we kind of sort of shifted you off your story. So you didn't do the cruise thing and then what happened?
so I was auditioning to do background vocals and just wanting to be in the studio as a studio vocalist. And that's how I met John. So he was at a studio producing and I came in as a background vocalist and started singing with a Latin artist. Spanish is my second language. And John heard me sing in Spanish and that was kind of the route that he was going with his music. And I barely got out of the door of the studio and he followed me out and said, would you want to do a solo project? So I just got chills just talking about it, just because, I mean, that's what every singer wants to hear. I wasn't prepared for that route. I didn't ever really see myself as a pop singer, as a band singer. I mean, I saw myself as a musical theater actress and that's what I was trying to do. And I was still auditioning and I was just kind of doing the background vocal thing as a way to keep in it. So once I met John, things really turned around for me and our partnership just blossomed really easily. He wrote a song, a melody, sent it over to me, and I had never written a song before. And now I was writing in Spanish, which was my second language. And I basically got the song banged out in like an hour. And the next time we had rehearsal, John loved it, and things just really clicked.
How did
Wow.
how did Spanish become your second language? What's your background?
So growing up in South Florida, where I am, there's a ton of Spanish speakers, like pretty much a majority. So just the neighborhood that I grew up in, it was like my neighbors were Mexican, and if my mom would go to the supermarket, she couldn't talk to anyone, like ask where anything was.
Wow.
So I started picking it up in school when I was young. Like I wanted to take Spanish classes and be more involved. And just from like local people, like I've never been shy, obviously. So I just started picking it up when I was a kid. And because of my acting background, I think a lot of learning a language in the beginning is just memorizing. And I really stuck with it. And I was fluent by the time I was like 15.
So then you're basically the major influence on why this became like a Latin band. Or John, was this because you had an inherent desire to do that style of music?
Yeah, I always like Latin. For some reason, when I play the guitar, these like Latin melodies come on to me. I don't know why, but they do. But I didn't know any Latin singers, so when I met her, that's when we put two and two together. So
Did you try out for like a mariachi band before you got together with her?
No. I was just writing, and I was working with another artist, but it wasn't going in the direction I wanted. So I was just looking for a singer that want to do more of the band stuff instead of the sample pop machine,
Right,
stuff
right.
here, and like I last year, I watched the Latin Music Awards, and it seemed like every song was playing to the same drum sample.
Yeah, it's like sampling for music is kind of like CGI for stuntmen.
Exactly, and I'm at this bullshit. You got to start writing some real songs of real musicians. So I wrote some stuff. I didn't have a Latin singer, and then she said she spoke Latin, and when I tried out, she had a great voice, and I'm like, wow, this may fit.
So Juliana, and I read some of the stuff about you guys, has no connection to anybody in the band in any way. It's just the name you guys randomly picked for the name of the band.
Exactly. The .com was available, so that has a lot to do with it.
So you went based upon, you just did like a who is search for it. So,
Well, no,
you don't speak Spanish yourself, right, John?
I know like hola, no quiero. Like
Right.
I used to tell my kids growing up, clean your room, and say no quiero, feo, daddy. I'm like, what does that mean? Because they had a Spanish nanny, So
Yeah.
they picked it up.
Well, yo quiero Taco Bell, right? So you should at least know that.
Yeah,
I would think.
No, I don't know much. I trust what she's writing is good,
So you don't even know what she's writing in the song. So she could be doing whole songs that her dog has herpes or something, and you wouldn't even know.
She could be making fun of you and all the lyrics, just making fun of John Stewart. Like, oh, he's
Yeah,
an
he
idiot.
says he's broke his back twice, but I don't believe it. But she does it melodically.
He's a mentirosa.
Well, Greg has a Hispanic background.
All I said was back, John. He'd love it.
Yeah, see, we wouldn't know. Well, Greg might know because he is. You're like Colombian or something, Greg, or?
No, I'm Cuban Dominican, half and half. Well, no, my mom's Cuban Dominican. My dad's Italian.
So you're like a quarter Cuban Dominican.
But I've told these guys before, my parents both spoke Spanish fluently, and they never taught us because they wanted their own secret language they could talk in front of us. So they didn't want us to learn.
You guys didn't pick up anything when they started speaking this in front of you?
No, but I took Spanish classes, so I know a little, un poco, if you will.
Un poquitito?
See. But I can barely speak it. If I read an article, I can get the gist of it. But when people speak to me, I can't understand. So, John, what was the most surprising lyric when she explained it to you? You were like, you were saying about that? Did that ever happen? Were you surprised?
You're talking about a tree again?
No, I guess the first song we done, which was the first song the record label released, was called Tu Sabor, and I'm like, this sounds great, blah blah blah. And I get the song back, I give it to one of the ladies that helped us get a record deal. She really loved it. That's why she picked it as the first single we released. Then I found out the song's about freaking coffee, and I'm like, what?
It's an analogy.
Yeah, it's a metaphor, whatever. But I mean, just saying, I'm like, okay, send me the lyrics in English, translate next time. Let's write some songs that they can put into movies like love stuff and breakup stuff,
La Isla Bonita.
Not drinking coffee?
But we can
I love
have
that song.
we have a great song for a coffee company though, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So how's your band been welcomed in the area in the region, or are you going national, or what's the momentum you currently have, or do you have any since we're in the middle of a pandemic for the last
Yeah, we haven't played
14 months?
one show. We literally started this project like 8 months ago from when I met her and started popping out songs. And
Oh, you started during the pandemic.
oh yeah, we used to
Oh.
down. We were working during the pandemic. We were in the studio recording. We have like I think 8 or 9 songs recorded now. We're working on one now. I think it's a 10th, or my math may be off a little bit, but we use this time to get some inventory of music. And now we're just and in the process, that's how we got a record deal. And so they put out one song, getting ready to release another song, Petty Boys. So it's just starting to come out now. In fact, we're just rehearsing the band to play live shows right now. Because a lot of stuff we use with studio musicians, in the studio. Now we're getting everybody to play the songs live. So we're at that point where another few weeks, the band will be tight enough to go do a show. But as you know, nothing's really happening except in Florida, which is happening. But last year we needed to be talking to these bookers to get booked for the summer. We missed the boat kind of because we were in the studio basically. So hopefully stuff will open up in the rest of the country and we'll get out there next year. So that's the point we're at now.
Yeah, I think the festivals are probably going to be going on later on in the summer. It's kind of how it's looking right now.
The Florida Fair is going on now. They have bands there.
Yeah.
As we speak. So, but they booked them last October for this.
Right.
And
we learned recently that they book those things almost a year ahead of time, and we weren't even sure that they would be booking them because we didn't think things were going to be open. We didn't know. But.
Well, it's Florida. From what Brendan tells us, they've never been closed.
Yeah.
I mean, quite a week. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how closed is closed, Yeah, I mean, I drove by and the Tampa, the Florida State Fair was going on, and I'm like, really?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
okay, why not?
I heard that the sex club near my house is back open.
Well, thanks
What?
for that.
Well, Greg. That's good to know.
We're just gonna move on from Greg's
Well, that
last
seems very
comment.
dangerous. It's like the fair. It's like I'm surprised. It's like that seems.
Yeah, sex clubs, the fair, they're the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's
Craig,
worse,
I don't really know how the fair and a sex club relate in your mind, because they are very different things, unless we need to have a conversation after the show about why they're connected.
Unless
We
at
had
his
better
sex
fairs
club
if
they
we
have
did.
show ponies or something.
Yeah, we had really fun fairs. In New
Which
York.
would be just the
That's so good.
kind of sex club to just avoid.
I was saying sex clubs are even more dangerous than a fair as far as people congregating. So I was surprised.
Anyway, so
I know they're different.
I know that there are definitely opportunities opening up, and I would think that by the fall there should be certainly places where live music is happening again. I certainly hope so.
So did you direct the music videos, John, since you have that background?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think if we could, take advantage of that fact and get some videos done, since that is my background, so for sure. And so we did a few videos, and we're in the process now of trying to find like a manager, an agent, or booking agent, to kind of take over this with us and help us get booked.
Brendan, are you available?
If anybody knows anybody, give them my number. We need somebody good.
All right, I know some people.
Really?
Brendan knows some people. He's got people.
We need people.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Matt's mentioning that because my background is marketing and digital marketing and booking and
Well, plus he's been in Florida for like the last 25 years, so I figured he might know somebody.
We need that because I'm busy, she's busy, we're all busy. We really need somebody that likes the music, believes in it, that wants to take us to the next level and play, that can get the hookups with the booking agents and stuff. Because this is a business. You got to have a team running the business. You know what I mean?
Right.
To make all that stuff. And I'm more of a creative mind. I don't like the Instagrams and all that stuff. I hate it. So I just want to be writing and recording and producing or whatever. And then, but we need somebody who actually. So if you do know anybody, seriously, just hook us up afterwards. And but the problem is like now a lot of managers are not making money because no one's touring. So they may have done all the jobs. So we need to find somebody that's willing to take us on now, knowing that they may not be able to make any money until things really open up, but use the time in the meantime to get, the seed planted in different directions.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So are you planning on incorporating, sorry, Madeleine, go ahead.
It's okay. Our listenership in South America is pretty high, which is something that we've discovered through social media. So when we post things, we'll see our dynamics and who's listening in other countries. And like, just since we posted a sneak peek of our new single, we've mostly been promoting in Argentina, and we have like 70,000 new listeners from Buenos Aires there. So
Wow.
I think a place where you guys would probably do really well, and this is not a joke, is the Philippines, which has a big Spanish-speaking contingent there, and they really like Americans at the same time. And so if you're a Spanish-speaking American, I think you have a very good shot of doing really well in the Philippines.
I heard Japan too. Same thing about Japan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know they really like American things. I didn't know about Spanish-speaking.
No, they have a big scene there in Japan of Latin.
Yeah, we should
Okay.
probably focus on that. Yeah, that was another thing. Not just looking for a manager agent, looking for somebody who's connected in South America, obviously.
Yeah.
That would help.
But not Brazil.
The Philippines,
Every
I
other
like
country. Yeah, and plus the cool thing about the Philippines, you could tour there. They also speak English, so you have they do English, Spanish, and their local dialects at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So you guys gonna like incorporate any stunts in your stage show? Like as John's playing guitar, he gets thrown across the stage or shot out of a cannon or something.
No, not yet, man. We haven't thought that far ahead.
Well, I think this is a really good time for us to get into our client. Now, Madeleine, you don't know about this, but we're a fake law office. We're all fake attorneys, and today you both are also fake lawyers as guest counsels. You're going to help us address the issues of our client for the day, which is leading men are not real men. And so John is probably the one who knows best about this, since he's worked in the movie business. That he would probably know that leading men, they don't do what you do. They don't really do. Some of them do. Like some leading men, I guess we could say, are real men, but most of them, they kind of hide off in the shadows, and they don't really.
When it comes to stunt work.
I'm talking about, yeah, sure, whatever you want to talk about.
He's speaking on behalf of his client right now.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Right.
That's right. You're defending this client, or prosecuting it, whichever one you want.
Well,
We're the sketch artist.
Some of them, like Brad Pitt would say, when it comes to the stunts, I just walk away and say, good luck, guys. I'll be rooting for you. Other people say, oh, I do my own stunt. I know for a fact a lot of them don't do their own stuff, and I know because I know they're stunt doubles. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of that's a bunch of. Tom Cruise obviously does a lot, but most of the other actors, and there's a good reason for it. I was doing a movie with Sidney Poitier and Gene Gilda Radha's husband or boyfriend.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Well, yes, in Boston, and if I could name it a movie, but it was we were shooting the Boston Aquarium, where Boston Aquarium has like 3 levels of just spiral staircases that go up, and there's a shark's cage underneath, and the guy, the scene, the actor is supposed to jump from one level to the next level, which is only about a 4-foot drop, not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But to say we should have the stunt double do it. No, let me do it. And what happened was, thank God that they put some plywood over the shark's cage. So when he jumped, he forgot to duck. So his head hit the side of the wall instead of him going through, and knocked him backwards. And put his arm on the friggin' on the wood that they set down. And Sidney Poitier was pissed, man. I never heard anybody. Well, that's a good reason, because production gets shut down. Oh, now you got an actor with a cast on his arm the rest of the movie,
He had a giant bruise on his forehead.
Yeah, so there's a reason.
And then eaten by sharks.
Exactly.
Which should be just for a bad day. Well, I guess it kind of gets into the realm of, what is a real man? Maybe Madeleine has the best answer for this. You're more closer to today's generations. How would you define a real man, Madeleine?
Well, as a millennial, I will have to say that gender is a construct.
Okay.
And I believe that anyone can adopt any gender. So I would more so go for the masculine versus feminine, as opposed to saying something like man or woman, because I think that those are fluid identities.
I am so entirely confused by the whole thing.
You opened up a can of worms now, man. I'll tell you.
Well, I think this is and John is gone.
Oh, God.
John just left.
Exit stage left.
I'm with you so far. I mean, but
I think I
carry
just had
on.
problems with the definition. So what do you mean by a construct in terms of what gender is?
So, like any social construct, it's something that you can choose to identify with. It's something that society has created more so than something physical, biological, in my opinion.
But then you also said masculine and feminine. So what's the difference between those two?
So I think that there are masculine and feminine traits, but I wouldn't necessarily put all masculine traits in the identity of a man and all feminine traits in the identity of a woman.
What would make for a masculine trait?
Courage, strength, intensity.
Why is that masculine and not feminine?
Just socially, that's how we define them.
Right, but that becomes a construct in and of itself, right?
Be careful, Madeleine. He will quibble with himself if given the opportunity. He will argue against. Yeah, he will argue against the point he just made that he's now making differently, and you're just there to watch.
He argues the shoes.
Are you suggesting everyone is my pawn, Brendan? Is that what you're suggesting?
No. They're playthings like a cat playing with a mouse.
And it's not true. I have legitimate questions.
I'm just letting our co-counsel know, since she hasn't worked with our firm before, the way that he operates. That's all. Continue.
I was raised by an attorney, so I can probably handle it.
Which means that she's got more experience than we do.
So continue the cross-examination.
So masculinity and femininity, those are also constructs then.
Right, but they can be placed on someone who identifies as a man or a woman. So I don't necessarily like the idea of like a leading man is just biologically a male, or a leading woman is just biologically a female.
So does it mean we get rid of the words man and woman altogether and everybody's just human and then that's it? Is that the better way of handling it?
I think that is the direction.
I think if I can suggest maybe.
You can suggest maybe, Brendan.
Yeah, here we go. He's on a roll.
Yeah.
He gets a little fired up. So Sigourney Weaver in Alien was a masculine female. Was that kind of what you're saying? Whereas, say, I'm trying to think of a guy in a male, a biological, we'll say biological male in a leading role where he was more feminine. Anybody's Greg?
Dom DeLuise?
Come on. Can we keep within the last, 15 years? Dom DeLuise.
Hedwig?
No. It's interesting.
Is Hedwig a person?
I can't actually think of a biological male who played a feminine leading role in a movie.
Well, what about like Patrick Swayze and To Wong Fu? Thanks, Julie Newmar. Where he was in drag, right? So was Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo. I think all three of those guys were in that movie. Crying Game was with someone who's trans, I think, right?
I'm trying to think of something where the person isn't.
But that was like 30 years ago too, Greg.
What did Greg say?
He said The Crying Game.
Oh, The Crying Game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what.
So I guess there's no such thing as real men anymore, is what we're saying.
Oh well, I don't necessarily.
I think the concept of gender is changing a lot.
That's a fact. Yeah. That's why I'm confused.
I will say I'm looking for his name because I thought of an actor who I felt had some feminine aspects to his character.
With Elliot Page.
Okay. So I felt that. Yeah, I won't go there.
RuPaul?
No.
Sorry. Kitty.
I think Madeleine has a response. She's trying to get out of her system, but we're stopping her. Yeah.
Okay, so I would argue the late Chadwick Boseman in the Black Panther, even though he obviously has these sort of intense, I guess, stunts and like violence, he has a very feminine aspect about his character, and he's very diplomatic and very sensitive and aware. And so even though he was perhaps a leading person in that movie, he did not only have leading man masculine, like harsh traits. So I would argue that the leading man dynamic is really changing, and that leading men now have to incorporate more feminine traits in order to be a well-rounded leading man.
But can they still be called leading men though?
If they choose to?
Well, I mean, if it's a construct, it's like who's defining the construct for leading men? Or they're just leading things. And if you're
Okay.
leading things, can you lead them to water? It really
All
all
right.
works. Can you make them drink when
Matt-
you do lead them to water?
Matt, do you have any rum left?
I think
Yeah,
I
I
have.
think it's time for you to drink.
I have
I
a little bit
thought-
of the bottle left. So
Good. I thought of one, Madeleine, which
good.
what you said made me think of that, and that's Eddie Redmayne in the Harry Potter movie, the one about the Fantastic Beasts.
Oh,
I think he was very caring. He wasn't macho by any stretch of the imagination, but yet he was strong in a very non-typical leading man sort of way. So that once you said that one, I was like, I kept thinking, I'm like, I know, I'm thinking of somebody. So that was someone I thought of, who's a leading biological male who had more feminine attributes.
Yeah, what I noticed when I was even a little boy, I noticed these things before thinking about sexism and gender roles, is that leading men were always like these kick-ass dudes, and they were macho and cool and like, whoa, I wish I could be like that. But you wouldn't want to hang out with that guy. They were humorless, macho dicks. And it's like, yeah, they're the hero. They're always the leading man, but they don't seem like a fun pal. Like, what, do you just grunt at you all the time? And you just be like, yeah, yeah.
Well, you're saying that they only live their stereotypes?
Not in real life. I'm just saying that character wouldn't be someone you'd want to hang out with, but you admire them as like the hero, the macho leading man. He's awesome, like Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin. But I wouldn't want to hang out with that character that Lee Marvin plays. He seems really boring and just like a insensitive prick.
And just angry all the time.
Yeah, angry. And
so, some of your references, Greg, make you seem older than you really are.
I watched
Knowing
TV.
that you're Lee Marvin.
They showed old movies when I was a kid.
We were children when Lee Marvin was making movies. You were 9, maybe 11 at tops.
They showed him on TV all the time into the 90s.
You watched too many reruns or something.
I did.
Yeah.
John, were there any of these actors that Greg is bringing up that you ever worked with? Any of the hardcore leading men from back in the day? I know Matt Dillon was probably more of a feminine leading man, I suppose, in many cases.
Yeah, he wasn't a real tough guy. David Carradine.
David Carradine.
Although David Carradine was kind of feminine in Kill Bill.
David Carradine actually tried to kill me one day for real.
Well,
I got to hear this story. David
Yeah.
Carradine tried to
John.
kill you?
Kill John. It's a whole new movie.
Kind of look. What happened was, later we became friends, but the first time I met him, I had to do a car chase where he's supposed to be strapped to the hood of the car. So I strapped him to the hood of the car, and
I wouldn't like you either.
This wasn't Death Race 2000, was it?
well, I had a stunt guy obviously double him for a lot of crazy stuff going in and out of traffic and all that. But then I needed his close-ups and mounted a camera in the car with him there and did it. So it pissed him off. Plus, he was a little lit up then because we were shooting nights downtown LA, and come to David's scene, where the hell is he? And we have to send a PA to the bar to get him out of the bar to come do a scene. You know what I mean? Yeah, we actually did the scene, and I remember he was standing. He had an M16 in his hand, and I'm behind him, and I see him look at me from the corner of his eye, and he just for no reason at all just took a swing with the M6, with the butt of the M16 at my head, and I ducked. You know.
Good thing you ducked.
Well, I'm thinking I should have let him hit me and shoot his ass, but I didn't do that.
So did he seem like the type of guy who would later die from sexual asphyxiation?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But beyond that, what the hell possessed him to try to hit you with an M16? Because
He's strapped into the roof of the car.
Yeah, I strapped on the roof of a car going down the street 70 miles an hour.
But that was his job. Like, he did not know this.
And that was your job.
He didn't want to be in this. I wanted his close up, and he didn't want to be in the scene at all. But like a week later, he had a party at his house. I show up at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I walk in there, and he literally, true story, karate kicked his kid down a flight of stairs, messing around. Yeah, he was a character, man.
Character sounds like a
Yeah.
monster.
It's a character.
Yeah, that's how they define it at the police station.
You know, like I was thinking, Charlie Manson, that guy was a real character.
He was a scam.
I actually did a scene in the cells where they kept the Manson girls when they caught them in a small California town. The first
Oh, really?
to them.
Wow.
I forget the name of the town, Bishop or something like that. We were shooting out there, and we did a scene in the jail cells, and the cops told me this is the actual cells that they put the Manson girls in when they arrested everybody and brought them in.
Wait, were you like the guy that Tarantino modeled the stuntman off of from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, but it's a funny story about Tarantino. No, that was after Hal Needham.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah, because I guess you would have been too young for that. So.
Well, what happened was I had directed a movie. The first movie I directed called, and I'm not really promoting this because it's already come up, but you were asking. We did a movie called Action USA 40 years ago, and it did its run in video stores and all that crap, and kind of got lost. And there was this, and it had a little cult following over the years because I'd get emails about screenings that was going to happen. So recently, last year, they were screening it at a backyard screening I knew nothing about, and someone showed it to Tarantino and a guy named Tim League, who owns Draft Ale House movie theaters, and I got a phone call. They absolutely loved it. So what they did, they said, we want to revamp it and restore it to 4K and bring it back out to the theaters, back out to the drive-ins, back out to Hulu and all the online, platforms. So they spent like, a couple $100,000 on it, not changing anything in the movie. They loved the movie, just making it 4K so they could show it in theaters today. So
Nice.
that just come out this year. It did a run in the theaters and the drive-ins and all that stuff, and on now it's on the platform. So
Tarantino made that happen.
Actually, Tim League made it happen. Quentin's going to show it at his one theater in LA, but between the both of them, yeah, they talked about it. And Tim League was really the one that made it happen, because it was no CGI, it's just car chases, and because I'm wondering, what they.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the one directing it, it's going to be like 90% stunts.
Well, that it was. In fact, I rewrote the whole script when I got to Texas when we shot it in Waco. But
it's like dialogue. What dialogue? Come on, let's just hurt somebody.
That's the perfect movie for that example. I had my actors will even tell you. In fact, we did a commentary behind the scenes for the making because they even did another VHS release as a gag gift along with the Blu-ray and all that. And one of the actors said in an interview, yeah, John would send the actors out to do second unit dialogue while he kept first unit to do the stunts.
So that Action USA movie is on Hulu? Is it on Netflix?
No, it's on everything now. Amazon Prime. I don't know. If you Google Action USA movie, it just did a big run everywhere. It actually went in theaters across the United States and drive-ins and.
Yeah, there's some like decent, well-known character actors. I was watching the preview of that yesterday that are in that movie. Some guys that you would definitely recognize.
Oh, Cameron Mitchell, yeah.
All right, I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm watching Action USA.
So who came up with the title of Action USA? Because that's kind of like an interestingly generic title.
This is a story in itself. I named the movie A Handful of Trouble when I wrote the story.
Okay.
It was about this Latin girl that she's a handful of trouble,
Oh, so this was about Madeleine before you met Madeleine.
Exactly. So what happened was the second day of shooting, my lead Latin girl actress quit because she got a TV series in New York, a soap opera or something. So she didn't show up to set, and she left a note in our hotel room. Sorry, guys, blah, blah, blah. So we're sitting there like, I don't have a leading lady. We've already shot, this is the second day of shooting. So now one of the girls that played one of the bad guys' girlfriends, Barry Murphy, who went to her and go, guess what? Now you're not a star of the show. And she made it happen. It's incredible. But what happened why the title was changed, Film Trust, Marco Colombo and Film Trust, my distributor, was actually at one of the film markets after we had made the film over in Cannes Film Festival. And he had some Japanese, which is a big territory. They paid a lot back then for their country for movies. They walk in his office and go, hey, you guys got any action movies made in USA? And he goes, yeah, we just happen to have Action USA right here. And he changed the name, and he tells me when he gets back, I changed the name of the movie, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What'd you do that? You have no right to do that. We're just had him a good thing now because it kind of had a title that stuck, But my original title was Handful of Trouble.
All right, so we can make fun of it without offending you. That's good to know. All right, so Action, yes, but although Action USA, I could see that selling outside of the United States in terms of that particular title. In the United States, it's kind of like,
Russia was a good sale for us back then.
what was that?
Russia was a good sale for us back then.
Okay.
Russia, yeah.
Yeah, Putin's like, I will learn from this movie.
That was in '89, right? I don't know how involved Putin was in the hierarchy of the Russian oligarchs back in '89,
but he
probably was busy doing something with the KGB. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was big in the film industry back then.
That's right. The secret film industry.
He directed on Golden Pond.
Oh,
that's
wow!
Greg's callback for today is on Golden Pond. Are you going to talk about the African Queen soon, Greg, as well?
I'm going to talk about Buster Keaton next.
Fine.
Oh, good. We need to go way back.
Well, that is kind of the beginning of stunt work. If we wanted to bring
he was
up
amazing
Buster
as a stunt man.
Buster Keaton he did all of his on stunts. Speaking of real men or real constructs or whatever we're going to call people anymore, I don't really know anymore.
But very on the feminine side, Buster Keaton.
It was the hat. The hat he wore was very feminine.
No, he was like very sensitive, nice guy. He wasn't a macho dick, but he did amazing stunts. Like
no, I'm saying the hat though. The hat was feminine, Greg.
Was it?
Yeah, that flat thing.
What the hell are you talking about?
Like something Annie Hall would wear, maybe?
What does that even mean? Was he wearing some big Aunt Pearl hat or something? Like
with a big feather and bird on it from the 1910s?
Kentucky Derby hat.
Yeah, like some sipping I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Well, we have hit the hour mark when John had said he needed to get out of here. We need to give him a graceful exit because we've been horrible. But we want to thank you guys very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to promote or a video? I know that one of your videos has kind of gone viral, like the Petty Boys one. You've hit like 43,000 views or something like that, and it seems to be moving on pretty well. Or your website, whatever you want to promote, feel free to do that right now.
Just a website. I'll let Madeleine do all this stuff. She talks about this stuff, but our website has everything on it. It's connected to any place you need to go if you want to listen to the music.
Yeah, so the website will connect you to our YouTube where you can watch all of our videos, and we have all of our songs on there as previews. So it's julianamusic.com.
Got it. And you can also find out more about John Stewart's career on imdb.com, as well as there's a documentary out there. Well, actually, it's a movie that he directed of himself, which is very meta, called Fall Guy, the John Stewart story. So if you guys track that down, I was looking for it. I couldn't find it anywhere yesterday because I wanted to check it out. But Action USA, track that down. There are 14 episodes of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that he directed. If you guys want to find those, go for it. I believe he played all of the Power Rangers all at the same time. Prove me wrong. They're all wearing masks. You can't. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming along. This is Madeleine Kaye and John Stewart with the band Juliana, based out of West Palm, Florida. And this Florida, dude. This has been the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
You've left the offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. It's over. It's over. It's time for you to go home. It's over. It's over. Go away now.